Mike's Daily Podcast.
Episode 2281, 2281. It's Mike Matthews. How much fun is this show so far? Isn't it fantastic? Yes, it is.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
A podcast I've been doing now for over 10 years. Yes, this was the 10-year anniversary this year in May. I think I fear that I'm losing my brain, memory, song lyrics. That's what this part of the show is, the lyrics that come out of my mind, and I'm just full of words coming out. That stopped.
Mike's Daily Podcast.
And I'm trying to think of something that rhymes with lyrics.
Mike's
Daily. There you go.
Podcast.
Hieroglyphics.
Yeah.
Derek's. Yes, I had a good friend growing up named Derek. Singular, not Derek's. So there's two Derek's. There have not been that many Derek's in my life. I don't hear that name that often, but yes, there was a Derek I grew up with. All the big movies that the 80s are known for, I saw with this guy. I was the best man at his first wedding. He came to my wedding, only wedding, and he's bald like me. We both started out with hair, and then I didn't see him for a long time, and next time I saw him, he was bald, and I'm like, and we're both kind of pointing at each other's heads, So the same thing happened to you. Brothers from another mother, and our mothers know each other, or knew each other rather well back in the day. They haven't talked in a long time. That's sad. But do you have a best friend? Do you have someone that you knew way back, and then you lost touch with them, and who knows where they are now? And then when you meet up with them, you know this is true. When you meet up with them, it's like nothing's changed, like not a moment has passed. And there's like a place mark that we put in, a little bookmark, and we're able to pick it back up again. It's crazy how the brain...
And here's today's podcast picture.
How the brain works. I cannot stop thinking about beautiful Half Moon Bay and the wonderful trip my lovely lady friend and I took there, Pescadero, and then we drove up to Poplar Beach in Half Moon Bay, where I used to take the wonderful late great Basil the Boxer to all the time. Posting a picture of that. I may post a picture of the cats at some point. There are two cats, both feral, that have become somewhat domesticated, that we've sort of adopted, that Basil would not approve. You can just ask him right there. Yes, sorry, Basil. Cats. He never liked cats. Yes. They would come up to him and smack him on the nose. But yes, I'll post a picture. See it at mikesdailypodcast.com. Somebody asked me today, Mike, are you doing daily podcasts? And I guess, well, no, I get interrupted. The goal is to make this daily. It has been since the moment I launched it. I think it was May 7th, 2011. And that was the theme, was let's do one every day. And you know how that goes. That's like impossible. And then a lot of these people that say they're going to start a podcast and do one every day, they can't do it. So then they do it weekly, and then they can't do it. And then they just give it up. So many people start podcasts. And then this is what I can't stand, are people that did maybe 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 or 5 podcasts, and then they stop, and then they tell you, oh yeah, I've got a podcast. When was the last time you did a new one? When was the last time you updated it? Oh, a couple months ago. Yeah, you're not a podcaster. Podcasters keep at it. Just imagine, like if you were watching a TV show that didn't get updated every week. There's still something called television, where there are a couple of networks that have programming that they got to bring you every single day. I'm in the radio version of that. In the talk radio world, we do something similar to what you're watching on TV, where at 7 o'clock there's this show, at 7:30 there's this show. And there's a guide, and our website has a guide, but the person that has to generate that content has to be adamant about it, has to think about it night and day. It's a daily thing. And thus the show's name is Mike's Daily Podcast, because at least I try to do that and bring it to you daily. So we talked about not getting enough sleep and some important things to remember about sleeping. Some great tips. Oh, so fantastic. One of them just brings up a good point. When you're lying in bed and you can't fall asleep, it's important not to get frustrated with the fact that you're not falling asleep, the insomnia or whatever you're feeling, but to try to relax, because your body still gets something out of it, gets something out of the relaxation. You may not be as fully rejuvenated, regenerated, up to speed, energized as you would a full night's sleep, but it's something at least, versus getting up, walking around, watching TV. And do you ever have those nights when you think you're an insomniac, but then you kind of drift off to sleep for a little bit, but then you wake up and say, I haven't been sleeping, but then you think about it later and you go, wait, maybe I was sleeping. It's sort of like an amnesia insomnia. Insomniac, amnesiac. So food connects us all. Food may offer up a bright spot during tough times. Sharing home-cooked meals, that sure helps us all out. A home-cooked meal just makes everything better. Trying out new recipes, or maybe you get takeout, you splurge on some good takeout from a local restaurant. But there are many in our communities that can't afford even the most basic meals. In fact, food insecurity in California has more than doubled since over a year ago, as many have lost their income due to layoffs and shutdowns. As we go outside a cafe anyway, where we bring you Mike's Daily Podcast, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, and FF episode 2281. Abundance and need are actually connected due to complexities of our food system. The good news is that even small changes can send positive ripples through the system. What if we don't just enjoy food, but truly care for it, its origins, and the people who grow, make, and prepare, and deliver it? Can we learn to appreciate the many resources that go into our food, from water, fuel, packaging, to the time and effort of those who process it? When we cultivate a sense of gratitude, it can change how we treat food. We may shop more locally, make better use of the food we already have, buy less, waste less, and love our leftovers more. Sure, cleaning our plates won't fill a hungry person's stomach, but being mindful about how we can get and treat our food can make our food system more efficient, resilient, and fair for all. Ways to care for your food. Shop your fridge first. Check pantry, fridge, and freezer for ingredients you already have. Always check that first before you go shopping. Never be listless. Yes, listless. Always make a shopping list and stick to it. It's easier than ever now with your smartphone. There's that little thing in there called Notes, or I don't know what the Apple version is called, but it's something like Notes. And you write down, you just have a running list, shopping list, and you just add to it. And there you go. I need to get mayonnaise. Yes, unhealthy mayonnaise. Buy local, shop at farmers markets, or subscribe to a CSA produce box. Here's the thing. I disagree with this writer about that. And I pulled this from the stopfoodwaste.org, but it's also from Edible, the magazine Edible East Bay. I had a roommate who subscribed to one of these box things where every week you'd get fresh produce from your local farmer. And did he use any of it? No. Did it attract flies in the kitchen where it sat? Yes. Did yours truly try his best to salvage what he had been just wasting? I tried. But it mostly went into the green bin out back. So that constant flow of food that you don't necessarily need. Now, some people love it. Some people say it helps them explore new ideas, new recipes, and all that. And they love supporting local farmers that way. That's perfect, wonderful for you. But I've seen it just drop down, fail badly. Like the podcaster that says he podcasts. I have a podcast, and he hasn't done one in months. Store food and veggies properly. Countertop, pantry, fridge. Check the storage guide at this website I mentioned, stopfoodwaste.org. They got resources there. Cultivate gratitude. Try eating without distraction, without watching something. We're all watching stuff all the time on their phones, on the TV. Take in flavor, texture, aroma, and appreciate. Love your leftovers. A little creativity can turn leftovers into a new meal. StopFoodWaste.org has ideas on how to turn your leftovers into a new meal. I have to check that out. Maybe next podcast. Plant your own veggies for the freshest produce and a bumper crop of pride. Grow your own. Volunteer your time. Learn about local efforts to address hunger and consider volunteering. Support hunger relief. Many of those boxes I talked about earlier, restaurants and food banks accept monetary donations to feed those in need. And make soup from scraps. Yes, broth can be made with most vegetable trimmings. Carrot peels. Yes, those carrot peels you just chuck. You just throw in the compost. Carrot peels, tops, celery ends, onion ends, and skin. Potato peels, herb leaves, and stems. Yes, and the stems. Don't chuck those either. That can all be used. Garlic skins. Really? The papery stuff? No. Oh, maybe the papery stuff you can't eat. It's paper. Mushroom stems, wilted vegetables, they all work fine too to make this veggie broth. It's basically a recipe where you're placing 3 to 4 cups of vegetable trimmings with about 3 quarts of water in a large pot, and you simmer for 30 minutes to an hour. And you strain out the solids through a fine mesh strainer and discard. Then you can discard it in the compost bin. What a fantastic idea. And that recipe came from Food Shift, which is an East Bay nonprofit developing practical solutions that reduce food waste, feed the community, and provide jobs. They're at foodshift.org. Interesting. Well, there you go. I found that article vastly important in our world today. Real quick thing here I'd like to throw at the end of the podcast. I'm just getting really, really upset at fellow people that like to speak to you, that bring you the spoken word, maybe that talk off the top of their head like yours truly. I'm getting a little miffed with the amount of conspiracy theories I'm hearing. And if you disagree with a president, if you disagree with them, just immediately not follow, just any idea that president, anything that comes out of their mouth is untrue, is false, is hurting the country. When we're trying to save ourselves here, and I'm hearing all this conspiracy theory blabber about masks and about the vaccines and about how the coronavirus doesn't even exist and all this craziness. And it is true, the real disease here, well, I mean, the real disease is, of course, COVID, but then there's even a bigger disease that's behind it all, that's causing some of the idiocy, and that would be stupidness. But then there's also the conspiracy behind the idiocy. Conspiracy theories. There is factors that increase conspiracy belief, situations involving large-scale events. This according to verywellmind.com. Situations involving large-scale events where more mundane or small-scale events seem inadequate. Situations where people experience distress over uncertainty. That's a couple of the factors that increase conspiracy belief. When people encounter disparate information It is only natural to look for explanations that connect the dots. Conspiracy theories offer explanations that provide this connection. They also suggest that the underlying cause is hidden from public view. When confusing things happen, believers can then assume that it is because they are being intentionally deceived by outside forces. And if it's somebody that you didn't vote for, or someone that you don't like, or some party that you don't like, then you're definitely thinking you're being intentionally deceived. There is also a connection between conspiracy beliefs and education levels. Lower educational status tends to be associated with higher levels of conspiracy belief. Having lower analytical abilities and less tolerance for uncertainty also plays a role. As a result, people turn to conspiracy theories to provide explanations for events that seem confusing or frightening. It's interesting, my mom she loved Trump, did get the vaccine, she did get vaccinated, but has always just offered up political thoughts and points of view without me even asking. I guess because I'm her son, but she just blurts it out. And I'm like, all I asked you to do was pass the butter. Why are you telling me? The confirmation bias can also play a role in the development of conspiracy belief. People are naturally inclined to seek out information that confirms their existing beliefs. So when they run across a theory that supports something that they already think is true, they are more likely to believe the information is also true. And there's that little thing called the internet, and being connected to the internet all the time through our phones, which we have all in our pockets, that helps play tricks on your brain. And there's also evidence that people turn to conspiracy theories as a way of feeling safer and more in control. When people feel threatened in some way, detecting sources of danger can be a way of coping with anxiety. What the research suggests. One study found that people who feel psychologically and sociopolitically disempowered, people who lost an election, are more likely to believe in conspiracy theories. And and that's true 4 years ago when Hillary lost. All kinds of reasons why Hillary lost. Another study found that people are also more likely to believe in conspiracies when they are experiencing anxiety. And that is probably the most true thing about anything I have said today, and from this article, verywellmind.com. And that is that we as a society are riddled with anxiety. And I have my lovely lady friend who's a therapist. I hear about anxiety, just overall. That seems to be what's the overall thing confronting most of your clients? Oh, it'd be anxiety. Any therapist will tell you that. It's true. It's everywhere. It's prevalent. It's saturated. We've known this for a year at least, especially when the whole pandemic began. So conspiracy theories are sort of a valve that is releasing some of this tension. And there's social reasons people can be motivated to believe in conspiracy theories due to social reasons. Some researchers have hypothesized that by believing in conspiracies that portray out groups as the opposition, people are able to feel better about themselves and their own social group. Those who believe in the conspiracy feel they are the heroes of the story, while those who are conspiring against them are the enemy, us and them. Pink Floyd sang about it in the 80s. Well, actually, technically that song came out in the 70s, late 70s. Why people believe in conspiracies? Wait, was Us and Them on The Wall or Dark Side of the Moon? Oh my gosh. This is an important question. Forget everything else I talked about. Us and Them, Pink Floyd. Let's see. That would be... Dark Side of the Moon. My apologies. Wow. What a fantastic album. Of course, it was one of the longest... What was that? It was on the charts longer than any album in Dark Side of the Moon. That album. 1973, that's right. The 8th studio album by Pink Floyd. And it was... Let's see... a blockbuster release of the album era. It also propelled record sales throughout the music industry. It helped all others. The tide that raised up all the boats. That's what that album did during the 1970s. It helped all the other people selling records at the time. It was on the charts for 958 weeks in total. 958 weeks. Wow. It is one of the best-selling albums worldwide. And it was selected for preservation in the United States National Recording Registry by the Library of Congress for being deemed culturally, historically, and aesthetically significant. And there's something on Netflix about the making of that album. It's pretty interesting to watch, or it might be on YouTube. Yeah. So just basically keep an eye out for why you believe. Do you believe in conspiracy theories? Why are you believing in conspiracy theories? Those are some reasons. Feeling like you're on the losing side. Have their prejudice against an enemy group they perceive as powerful. And there are roots. The belief in conspiracies is also rooted in what is referred to as collective narcissism. It's the belief that your own social group is better and less appreciated by other people. People who feel that they or their social group have been victimized are also less likely to believe in government institutions and more likely to believe in conspiracies. The effects, what researchers have found, is that while these beliefs are motivated by a desire to understand, exert control, and feel socially connected, they aren't the effects people are deriving from their beliefs. Rather than fulfilling these needs, believing in conspiracy seems to reinforce feelings of confusion, isolation, feeling disenfranchised. It doesn't help. It makes it worse. Believing in conspiracy theories. Organizations might start by promoting messages in order to fight conspiracy theories. In terms of public health, organizations might start by promoting messages focused on realistic things people can do to take control of their own health. Building this sort of action-oriented mindset, people have control, may help discourage belief in health-related conspiracies and build greater trust between medical organizations and health consumers. In workplace settings, managers might employ the strategy to help minimize water cooler worries, office gossip, and interpersonal friction. Regular discussions that center on employees' goals and strategies to achieve those goals can help keep workers feeling more in control. It's all about control, I guess, and anxiety, and less subject to corporate whims. We're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley, the last place on earth. And by the way, if you don't believe a single word that I just said, just realize that this was reviewed by Stephen Gans, MD. He is a review board member for verywellmind.com. His expertise is psychiatry and psychotherapy, and he is also an assistant professor of psychiatry at Harvard Medical School. And if you would like to go to verywellmind.com to see this information for yourself and see if the actual source, and they have a review board and all that, if that is all up to snuff with you and you can agree with it, then maybe what I said might ring true. But that's a big part of it, is taking control, as was mentioned. And that part of control is researching and diving deep into, not just a post on a social media site. It's got some legs behind it. It's got some work behind it. And that makes it more believable. So, we're outside a cafe anyway, somewhere in Podcastro Valley. Look who's here. Hello, Michael Mash's Madame Rootabega, and people are listening to this podcast? Maybe. I don't know. But it's a nice day outside, isn't it? Yes. You gonna go fishing? Yes. Can I have whatever fish you catch? No. Oh, man. Look who else is here.
Hello there, Mike. This is Valentino, the parking attendant.
And it's a Bison Bentley. Do you know that?
Mike, you know what? I am available for any kind of voiceover work. I can do cartoon voices.
Yeah, cartoon voices. Really? Like what do you specialize in? What's some cartoon voices you do?
Well, I can do like a sound of a bird. Here it goes. Chirp. Day.
Yeah, chirp. Wow. That was fantastic. Did you enjoy that, podcast listener?
This is my last word. No!
Oh. Well, who asked you? Next show, it'll be the wonderful Chely Shoehart, Floyd the Floorman, John Deere the engineer. You can chime in about anything we covered. 336mm daily, 3 + 3 = 6. MM as in Mike Matthews daily, as in what this podcast has tried to be this weekend, has succeeded. Sometimes, not so much others. Sometimes I get interrupted. You know how that is. And taking us out, A-Frame.
Mike's Daily Podcast is written and produced and performed by Mike Matthews. His podcast is super easy to find. Download or listen to his show and read his blog at mikesdailypodcast.com. Email Mike now at mikesdailypodcast@gmail.com. See you tomorrow. Bye!